funding the production of 50 new complex as strategic bets. Tourism and foreign direct investment. Madam Speaker, tourism earnings have grown by 13.1% to US dollars 1.52 billion in 12 months to March 2025 from US dollars 1.36 billion during the same period in 2024. This impressive growth is attributed to the sustainable peace, increased competitiveness of Uganda's tourism industry, and government investment in strategic tourism infrastructure, including Uganda Airlines, remittances from Ugandans living and working abroad were US dollars 1.4 billion 12 months to March 2025, compared to US dollars 1.33 billion in the same period in 2024. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Let me repeat this. Madam Speaker, Uganda has maintained its top ranking as one of the best investment destinations in Africa. Foreign direct investments were worth US dollar 3.4 billion in 12 months to March 2025, compared to US dollars 2.99 billion during the same period in 2024. This performance was due to improved competitiveness of our economy. Fiscal performance. Madam Speaker, revenue collection is projected at shilling 31.9 trillion this financial year ending June 2025, equivalent to about 14.3% of total domestic economic output or GDP. Total expenditure outtake is estimated at shillings 51.53 trillion this financial year, excluding Bank of Uganda securities and domestic financing date rollover. The budget deficit is estimated at 7.2% of GDP. Madam Speaker, government plans to collect shillings 37.2 trillion in domestic revenue next financial year 25-26. This will finance about 60% of the national budget. The rest of the budget will be financed through borrowing and grants. Madam Speaker, government has stepped up efforts to mobilize domestic revenue. Going forward, emphasis will be put on the following. 1. Broadening the tax base through strategic investment in the opportunities in agro-industry, tourism, minerals, including oil and gas, science, technology, and innovation, including ICT, as well as interventions that support wealth creation and the growth of small and medium enterprises. Eliminating corruption at URA through punishing corrupt officers and taxpayers who collude with URA staff, as well as leveraging digital platforms to minimize human interaction. 3. Enhancing implementation of electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solutions, which is corporation EFRIS, digital tax stamps, rental tax solution, and regular audits, especially for transfer pricing. Combating smuggling at border points through extended surveillance using advanced technologies like scanners, drones, and tracking systems, with increased patrols in high-risk areas. Rationalizing tax exemptions to focus on only those that support industrial policy and introducing sunset clauses. Amending tax laws to close loopholes that cause revenue leakage and providing clarity to encourage voluntary compliance. Strengthening URA, including recruitment and training of tax officers to effectively administer tax collection, and supporting local governments and revenue generating public entities to increase revenue collection. Accountability for financial 24-25 and priorities for the financial 2025-26. Madam Speaker, when I delivered the budget speech for financial 24-25, I made several commitments on government expenditure priorities for the financial year. In February 2025, I presented a detailed semi-annual budget performance report of this financial year to Parliament in line with the law. In this section, I provide the highlights of what government has achieved this financial year to date. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Let me repeat. Madam Speaker, with respect to investing in the people of Uganda, the following has been achieved. Health. Madam Speaker, during this financial year 24-25, the following milestones have been achieved in the health sector. 1. Government continued to invest in saving the lives of Ugandans by providing shillings 721 billion for healthcare supplies, general and essential medicines under the national medical stores. This included additional financing of shillings 100 billion for essential medicines, shillings 116.8 billion for RVs, shillings 2.9 billion for anti-malaria medicines, shillings 17.8 billion for immunization supplies, and shillings 52.3 billion for laboratory supplies, and shillings 2.1 billion for anti-TB drugs. Government continued to improve healthcare infrastructure and equipment. For example, we completed, equipped, and commissioned 3 regional blood banks in Hoima, Arua, and Soroti. Operationalized 16 high-capacity oxygen plants across key regional referral hospitals. Continued infrastructure development and equipping of the 2 specialized centers for cancer and cardiovascular care. Infrastructure development of Rubowa Specialized Hospital is now at 68% progress, and training of the specialists is ongoing. Constructed new maternity wards and the staff houses in the health center 2s that are being upgraded to health center 3s. Distributed 20 digital X-ray machines to general hospitals and installed CT scans in 14 out of 16 regional referral hospitals. Government implemented interventions for preventive health care, for disease prevention and promotion of healthy lifestyles. For example, trained and deployed community health extension workers across the country to deliver essential health education on hygiene and sanitation, nutrition and disease prevention, and to support routine immunization effort. Undertook residual spraying in 13 districts, which protected the lives of 2.7 billion people and 560,000 households against malaria, and introduced the malaria vaccine into the extended program on immunization targeting children under 5 years of age. Improved the digitization of healthcare services by extending connectivity of the electronic medical record system in 4 national referral hospitals and 16 regional referral hospitals. This has improved patient record management, drug dispensing, and monitoring the attendance of health workers. Strengthened the national ambulance and emergency care system by providing additional ambulances to improve the national emergency response and referral system. Madam Speaker, to further improve the health of Ugandans, a total of shillings 5.87 trillion has been provided in next financial year 25-26. The priority intervention will include 1. Functionalizing health centers. 4. 2. Strengthening primary health care and community health services. 3. Scale up of national e-health infrastructure. 4. Promotion of nutrition and education and reproductive health. 5. Continued deployment of community health extension workers. 6. Strengthening the national ambulance and emergency referral system. And 7. Construction of specialized health facilities for cancer and cardiovascular care. Now, education. Madam Speaker, the following milestones have been achieved in the education sector. 1. Provided access to universal primary education for 9.2 million learners and 905,116 learners under universal secondary education.
Minister, for record, it is 9.52.
Oh, 4.52. Well, my officers have misled me. And I close that one. 2. Over 5,192 students, both on degree and diploma programs, benefited from higher education students loan financing scheme. In addition, 4,000 learners benefited from government sponsorship joining public universities. 3. A total of 166 seed schools have been constructed under the UGFIT program. 4. In preparation for CHAN and ACFON 27, government has so far spent shillings 496.8 billion for the construction of Hoima and Akibua Stadia, as well as the associated training facilities across the country. Government will spend a total of shillings 1.3 trillion to get these facilities completed. In addition, Mandela National Stadium has been upgraded and government commissioned the National High Altitude Training Center, Triyet, in Kapchorwa. In order to improve compliance with quality standards, government digitalized school inspections in all public schools and certificate awarding technical, vocational, education and training institutions. To improve the qualifications and skills of primary school teachers to meet the new minimum education requirement of degree level, government has established the Uganda National Institute for Teacher Education, UNITE. So far, UNITE has enrolled 1,000 students across 5 campuses and has been supported to undertake staff recruitment and take over the operations of 23 primary teachers' colleges to upgrade certificate teachers to diploma level. Rolled out the abridged A-level curriculum to implement the competence-based curriculum for A-level. A total of 357 120 learners successfully completed the 4-year cycle under the new lower secondary educational curriculum and are transitioning to the new A-level curriculum. Implemented the TVET reform to increase industry participation in TVET training and delivery. A new TVET council, sector skills council, and the secretariat have been established with representation from various sectors. Madam Speaker, next financial year, I have provided 5.04 trillion for priority interventions, which include: 1. Continuing to provide free education to Ugandans under UPE, USE, and universal post-O-level education and training. 2. Providing sponsorship and student loans for higher education. 3. Rehabilitation of 120 traditional secondary schools and 31 special need primary schools. 4. Construction of 106 new seed schools and expansion of 61 existing secondary schools. 5. Recruitment of more teachers and non-teaching staff. 6. Strict enforcement of teachers and learners inspection across the country using an electronic system. 7. Providing textbooks and instructional materials to improve the textbook to student ratio to 1.3 from the current 1 to 1.5. Operationalization of Bunyoro and Busoga universities, and completion of the ongoing construction of stadia and training facilities ahead of Chan and as AFCON 27, as I've said before. Social protection. Madam Speaker, to keep our senior citizens healthy and to actively participate in socio-economic activities, government has divided shillings 811 billion, benefiting 702 older persons across the country under the social assistance grants for the elderly program, SAGE. In addition, 1,741 older persons group enterprises have been funded with government grants worth 5.5 billion, benefiting 11,644 older persons under the Special Enterprise Grant for Older Persons Program, SEGOP. Other social protection intervention which government has supported include the following: Youth Livelihood Program. A total of 24,228 youth enterprises have been funded to the tune of 191.336 billion, benefiting 274,211 youth.
271,211. Not
I have read it wrong. Let me repeat. 271,211 youth. The enterprises are in agriculture, 30%, trade, 38%, trade, 32%, other services, 19%, and others, 11%. Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, WEP. Government has financed 21,948 women group enterprises, benefiting 235 million, 114 women. National Special Grant for Persons with Disability to address high vulnerability and poverty levels among persons with disability. Government has supported 8,107 enterprises, benefiting to 50,900 persons.
59,901.
59,901 persons with disabilities. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 404.9 billion for social protection next financial year 2025-26. Water, sanitation, and environmental protection. Madam Speaker, to improve the quality of life, government continues to invest in the provision of safe water, improve sanitation, and ensure protection of the environment. These include the following. 1. Villages in Uganda with at least one safe water source have remarkably increased to 8 out of every 10 villages. Nationwide, 57,951 villages out of 71,225 have been served with a safe water source. 2. Completed the construction of 259 medium and large solar-powered water supply and sanitation systems and gravity flow schemes across the country. 3. Construction of 42 large solar-powered water supply systems is ongoing in Agago, Yumbe, Amudat, Kabong, Kasese, Kakumiro, Sembabule, Kisoro, Rubanda, Mbulamuti, Bulambuli, Kyenkwanzi, Mubende, Kyegegwa, Buyende, Nakaseke, Namayingo, Rakai, and Buvuma. With regard to clean water, construction of piped town water supply systems is ongoing in 32 towns. These include Namasale, Kakingo, Kamuli, Ngoma Town, Lunya, Karogo, Phase 2, Ishaka, Mobilizing, Nyakashaka, Bukumi, Kanapa, and Odongei. Construction is also ongoing in Parabekar, Rhino Camp, Aradufile, Lubeli Refugee Settlement, Bulori, Nyanseke, Busale, Kibuzi, and expansion in 2 towns of Kiboga and Zigoti. Other beneficial towns are Lamuo, Lacheskot, Ir, Lorenga Kora, Chora, Manafwa, Butaleja Busorwe, Terinyi, Kibuku, Kadama, Budaka, Kaliro, Namungarwe, Lukungiri, and Obongi. Construction of various water supply systems in 26 districts is at varying levels of physical progress. These include Manafwa Town Council, an installation of solar packages that is ongoing in Loslang, Kasawo, Phase 1, Kaburabwizi, Phase 1, Bukumi, Bulangira, and Kyebando, Kasimbi, and Busale Town. Also, government is starting the development of new piped water supply systems in Rwanda, Kabale, Albetong, Nakasongola, Kamuli districts, among others. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional shillings 366.1 billion next financial year for water resource management, climate change mitigation, natural resources, and environment. The priority interventions include construction of water supply infrastructure to increase service in the unserved communities in rural, urban, and refugee settlements, increasing rehabilitation and expansion of existing water, sanitation, and hygiene infrastructure, and increasing forest and wetland cover. Madam Speaker, overall, I have allocated a total of shillings 11.44 trillion next financial year towards investing in the people of Uganda through health, education, social protection, and water and sanitation. Now, wealth creation programs. Madam Speaker, wealth creation programs have proved effective in integrating lower-income Ugandans into the economy. As already reported, poverty and inequality have reduced thanks to the following opportunity equalizing initiatives that government has implemented. Parish development model. Madam Speaker, by 30th June this year, a total of shillings 3.3 trillion will have been transferred to 10,589 parishes across the country to transform the household still in subsistence to join the money economy. Each parish gets shillings 100,000 per year. So far, the PDM funds have reached 2.63 million beneficiaries in all districts and parishes. The beneficiaries have invested 45% of the money in cash and food crops such as maize, cassava, onions, bananas, and Irish potatoes, 36% in livestock such as piggery, goats, beef cattle, dairy cattle, and sheep, 20% in poultry, and 6% in other enterprises. These investments are changing the lives of Ugandans by boosting household incomes, enhancing food security, and creating employment opportunities at local level countrywide. Madam Speaker, PDM operations have been fully digitized to ensure secure and smooth flow of the government grants directly from the National Treasury to the beneficiaries. Government using the National Identification Number, NIN, and the PDM information system to identify the beneficiaries, the Wendy application to send the money, and the Zaidi application to monitor and ensure that the money goes to the right beneficiaries and that they are using it to finance the right enterprises. This has enhanced efficiency and convenience in access and helped to reduce corruption in the PDM operations. Effective next year, every parish chief will make use of the PDMs to prepare an annual report on the state of their parish economy and asset register, the SPEAR report. This report will enable tracking of progress towards full monetization of the economy for every parish. Madam Speaker, I have provided an additional 1.059 trillion next financial year 25-26 for further capitalization of the PDM. This will avail an additional shillings 100 million per parish for households that have not yet benefited from the PDM. Government has also provided money to pay for the bank charges to ensure that beneficiaries receive the full amount of shillings 1 million each. Government is also providing a grant of 500,000 shillings for persons with disability over and above the loan of 1 million to cater for the additional access requirements. Madam Speaker, in order to add value to and guarantee markets for PDM outputs, government has stepped up investment in agro-industry through vertical and horizontal value addition. This is targeting production of higher value multi-input products such as nutritional foods, baby foods that use several products like milk, eggs, and maize, and fruits and vegetables. Now, agricultural credit facility. Madam Speaker, government has injected a total of shillings 413.4 billion in the SEF since its establishment in 2010. In partnership with the participating financial institutions that match the government contribution, this facility has so far provided over 1 trillion in low interest loans by the end of March 2025 to support agricultural productivity, commercial farming, and agricultural value addition. The SF has so far supported 14,336 beneficiaries, of whom 3,531 are smallholder farmers. The loans have financed the following: grain trading, shillings 431.4 billion, 43%. On farm activities, shillings 312.8 billion, 32%. Agro-processing, 166.8 billion, 16%. And post-harvest management, shillings 89 billion, which is 9%. Madam Speaker, I have provided additional capital for the SEF of shillings 50 billion next financial year 25-26. This is in addition to the agricultural insurance that benefits all farmers, including PDM beneficiaries. Uganda Development Bank. Madam Speaker, government has cumulatively capitalized the UDB to the tune of shillings 1.5 trillion to support industrialization, agricultural commercialization, and acquisition of appropriate technologies to increase productivity. UDB has so far achieved the following. 1. UDB has provided shillings 2.45 trillion to 607 businesses engaged in commercial agriculture, agricultural value addition, manufacturing, tourism, hospitality, education, health services, creatives, and construction industry, and as at the end of December 2024. 2. Businesses supported by UDB have created 55,553 jobs, generated out of value of shillings 23 trillion, contributed shillings 944.2 billion in taxes, generated an equivalent of shillings 3.3 trillion in forex earnings, and shillings 3.15 trillion in profits for the private sector businesses supported. UDB has implemented special programs targeting small and medium enterprises and youth and women-owned businesses engaged in wealth creation. This has been done through provision of business development and incubation services. In order to ease access, UDB is opening up regional offices and has supported wealth creation enterprises in 96 districts across all the sub-regions. Madam Speaker, I have now provided an additional shillings 1 trillion for UDB next financial year. We turn to Emyoga. Madam Speaker, in order to boost incomes of Ugandans engaged in specialized trades, Emyoga, particularly in urban and peri-urban centers, government has so far provided a total of shillings 660 billion. This has benefited a total of 2.4 million Ugandans in creating 471,000 jobs and kick-starting a new local economy in value-added enterprise such as winemaking, carpentry, coffee value addition, metal fabrication, tailoring, artisanal products, mechanics, women in markets, restaurants, and services like hair and beauty salons and transport, among others. Madam Speaker, I am providing an additional 100 billion Uganda shillings next financial year to support more Emyoga enterprises as off-takers of PDM outposts. Following enactment of new TVET Act, government will support certification and issuance of practicing permits to competent practitioners benefiting from the Emyoga program. Small Business Recovery Fund, Madam Speaker. This fund was established to support small businesses which were affected by COVID-19 to recover with an initial capital of 100 million shillings, to be matched by commercial banks and other financial institutions. The funding from the SBRF has enabled 3,496 micro, small, and medium enterprise to recover from the effects of COVID-19, saving over 26,672 jobs in the sectors of trade and commerce, hospitality, and education and construction. Madam Speaker, in order to accelerate full monetization of the economy through various wealth creation programs, I have provided shillings 3.05 trillion next financial year, 2025/26. These funds are going to be passed
2.3 trillion. Next
it is shillings 3.05 trillion. These funds are going to be passed on to Ugandans in wealth creation through PDM, shillings 1.059 trillion, Emyoga shillings 100 billion, UDB shillings 1 trillion, Uganda Development Corporation shillings 187.1 billion, and the Agricultural Credit Facility shillings 50 billion. Others include GROW, generating growth opportunities and productive for women enterprise, 231.3 billion, INVITE, investment for industrial transformation and empowerment, shillings 275.1 billion, presidential zonal industrial hubs and skilling initiatives, shillings 58.5 billion, to turn youth into manufacturers, and support to microfinance, shillings 48.5 billion. Agro-industrialization. Madam Speaker, the interventions in agro-industrialization this financial year and next financial year have prioritized research, increase in productivity, commercialization, and value addition in agriculture. Madam Speaker, some of the key achievements in this financial year include: 1. Research and genetics development of selected value chains. The National Animal Genetic Resource Center and the Data Bank has introduced superior animal genetic resources for breeding, multiplication, and distribution to farming households under PDM. NARO has completed the manufacturing facility for anti-tick vaccines at Nakisesa in Wakiso district with the capacity to produce over 20 million doses of the anti-tick vaccine per year. NARO has also developed agricultural technologies that increase productivity, such as water-saving cultivation technology, drought-resistant varieties, and integrated pest, disease, and weed control technologies, among others. Research in coffee by Nakori has contributed to increased national coffee production productivity, and export earnings. Increasing agricultural production and productivity. The capacity of water for irrigation has increased to 54.76 million cubic meters. This is on account of government investment in small and large irrigation systems, including solar-powered irrigation. In particular, 7 large-scale irrigation schemes have been completed. These include Ngenge in Kwene district, Luwengaju in Kabarole, Tochi in Oyam, Mobuktu in Kasese, Olwenyi in Kira, Lira, Doho 2 in Butareja, and Wadlei in Pakwach. Another 3 irrigation schemes are currently under construction. These are Akomai in Bukedia district, Atari in Kweni Bulambuli district, and Namatala covering Budaka, Mbale, Butareja districts. Madam Speaker, another 142 solar-powered irrigation and water supply schemes have been completed across the country. In addition, 157 solar-powered irrigation and water supply schemes are under construction. Furthermore, 4,300 micro-scale irrigation facilities were constructed in 135 districts across the country and have benefited smallholder farmers of less than 2.5 acres. Madam Speaker, in addition, government completed Useke Dam in Kabong and Ogunga Dam in Katakwi for livestock, irrigation, and fish farming. In addition, 5,251 small and medium-scale irrigation schemes were established in 135 districts. Madam Speaker, government established 5 zonal agricultural mechanization centers in Marere, Buwama, Bungoko, Ugwata, and Sanga to support equipment access and tractor hire services, procured and distributed 260 assorted 4-wheeled tractors and implements to farmer groups in 60 districts countrywide, 750 power tillers, single axle tractor and implements, and 2 pieces of dredging equipment for water hines and weed control, and trained 2,150 youth and women as operators, artisans, mechanics for tractors and implements. Madam Speaker, beginning this financial year, government introduced the large-scale commercial farmer interest-free credit facility of shillings 175 billion. This facility will help to increase production and productivity for improved food security and export. The loan facility can be accessed through government-owned banks, namely Post Bank, Housing Finance Bank, and Pride Bank Limited. Agricultural value addition and marketing. NARO completed setting up an Alpha Safe facility at Namulonge with the capacity to eliminate aflatoxin contamination in grains. The facility has capacity to clean 5 tons of produce per hour. This will save the country an estimated $38 million per year, which is lost in export rejections due to aflatoxins, and most importantly, save the lives of Ugandans. Madam Speaker, to add value to agricultural produce, government constructed 11 agro-processing and storage facilities to increase opportunities for value addition and access to higher value markets. These include Rwimi Rice Processing Facility in Bunyangabu, Kasina Maize Processing Facility in Kyenjojo, Kigoyera Maize Processing Facility in Kyenjojo, Itojo Maize and Rice Processing Facility in Ntoroko, Nombe Coffee Processing Facility in Ntoroko, Apara Oil Seed Processing Facility in Alabetong, Gatianga Coffee Processing Facility in Winyangabu, Akorinmonyin Rice Processing Facility in Katakwi, Kajamaka Rice Processing Facility in Kumi, Chikwata Coffee Processing Facility in Nakaseke, and Chiwoko Maize Processing Facility in Nakaseke again. Madam Speaker, government is strengthening partnerships with the private sector through Uganda Development Corporation to support local value addition and manufacturing in a wide range of agricultural value chains. These investments include Soroti Fruit Factory, Budadiri Arabic Coffee, Mbale Growers Tea Factory, Mabale Growers Tea Factory, Kayonza Growers Tea Factory, Bukona Agro Processors, Atiaka Sugar Factory, and Yumbe Fruit Factory. Madam Speaker, as a part of the effort to increase access of Uganda's products to international markets, we dispatched the inaugural exports of coffee and milk to Serbia and Algeria, respectively. The milk exports to Algeria have potential to fetch Uganda export earnings worth $500 million. Madam Speaker, I have allocated a total of 1.86 trillion next financial year towards deepening agro-industrialization. These funds will support investments in 1. Agricultural research, 2. Agricultural inputs including fertilizers, 3. Water for irrigation, 4. Extension services, 5. Agro-processing and value addition, 6. Post-harvest handling and storage facilities, 7. Inspection, surveillance, certification, enforcement of quality standards, and market access. Now we turn to tourism development. Madam Speaker, Uganda's tourism sector continued to recover with the tourist arrivals increasing by 7.7% to 1,000,037 in 2024 from 1.27 million in 2023. Similarly, tourism earnings grew by 26% to $1.28 billion in 2024, up from $1.02 billion in 2023. Madam Speaker, the following achievements were registered: promoted and marketed Uganda through International Explore Uganda promotion campaign in high-value market segments in USA, Canada, and the United Kingdom. As a result, the year-on-year growth of interest in Uganda by tourists is 33% for the United Kingdom, 19% for Canada, 5% for the USA. Additionally, through the theme Uniquely Ours, we have promoted domestic tourism. As a result, domestic tourism in national parks increased by 15.7% in 2024, reaching 244,843 visitors. Continue to innovate and modernize tourism products to make them more competitive. This involved maintenance of 1,300 kilometers of rail tracks and roads in tourism protected areas, increasing the cumulative coverage of electric fencing of 177 kilometers in Queen Elizabeth and Merchant Falls National Parks, continued construction of the pier and related infrastructure at the source of the Nile, continuing to upgrade the Uganda Museum and Namugongo Martyrs Shrines, construction of 3,521 meters of climbing ladders and boardwalks on Wenzori Mountains to make hiking safer and fun, completion and commissioning of Kikorongo Equator Monument in Kasese, and the construction of works of Karamoja Museum, which is nearing completion. Government invested in a world-class convention facility in Munyonyo. This has promoted Uganda as one of the regional destinations for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. Consequently, Uganda now ranks 7th in Africa in MICE tourism. Madam Speaker, I have allocated shillings 430 billion towards direct investment in tourism next financial year. This is in addition to about 2.2 trillion provided for another tourism support investments such as tourism roads, ICT, infrastructure in tourism areas, African Cup of Nations, AFCON infrastructure, and security strengthening in tourism areas. Madam Speaker, the focus next financial year will be on 1. Branding and marketing of Uganda as a tourism and investment destination. 2. Infrastructure development in tourism sites. 3. Construction of refreshment centers and highway sanitation facilities. 4. Improving and enforcing hospitality standards and training. And 5, promoting health tourism by investment in specialized health facilities. Madam Speaker, government has also stepped up investment in missions abroad to promote economic and commercial diplomacy. Every mission is now tasked to bring investors and tourists and open up export markets. Mineral-based industrial development, including oil and gas. Madam Speaker, the following achievements were registered this financial year. Government facilitated the establishment of 10 gold refineries, 4 cement manufacturing plants, and 1 tin processing plant, contributing to mineral processing and refining. In the oil and the gas sector, the Telenga and Kingfisher oil projects are on track for first oil production in 2026. An agreement to construct 60,000 barrels per day oil refinery, which will kickstart the petroleum chemical industry, was signed between Alpha MBM from AIE and the Uganda National Oil Company. Once operations start, the oil and the gas sector will contribute between $1 and 2.5 billion annually to the country's revenues. With regard to local content in the oil and the gas industry, more Ugandan companies and individuals have benefited from contracts issued and jobs respectively. Out of 5,693 Tier 1 contracts amounting to a total of value of US dollars 5.4 billion awarded to date, 4,796 contracts, 64% were Ugandan companies.
84%.
84%, yes, I said that, Mama, were to Ugandan companies amounting to US dollars 2.25 billion. Also, US dollars 33.4 million, equivalent to shillings 121 billion, has been spent on goods and services consumed from the surrounding communities in Bunyoro. More than 14,000 Ugandans have been trained in various technical areas, and so far about 17,000 direct and 39,567 indirect jobs have been created. Kabalega International Airport is nearly complete, and over 700 kilometers of roads have been constructed in the Albertine region to support commercial production of oil and gas. Government is expediting the finalization of the 1,443-kilometer East African crude oil pipeline, EACOP, which is now 58% complete, with engineering works at 98% completion and procurement of the major equipment for the pipeline at 83%. Following INOX commencement of the bulk supply of petroleum products in August 2024, the country has experienced relative stability in supply and pricing. This has been realized due to elimination of the middlemen and speculative tendencies. As a result, Uganda currently saves up to $72.8 million annually on fuel imports. Madam Speaker, I have provided $875.8 billion next financial year for mineral-based industrial development, including oil and gas, for one, continued qualification of mineral resources, starting with iron ore, gold, and copper, and strengthening their tracking system. Two, capitalization of the Uganda National Mining Company. Three, establishing mineral markets and buying centers to enable transparent mineral trading. Four, expediting finalization of the East African crude oil pipeline. And five, prioritizing of the construction of the oil refinery and refined products pipeline, among others. Science, technology, and innovation, including ICT and creative industry. Madam Speaker, STI, including ICT and creative arts, provide an important avenue for the country to develop high-tech exports and add new sources of growth and jobs. Madam Speaker, this financial year, the following milestones have been achieved in the development of knowledge economy. One, completed and operationalized the Kira vehicle plant in Jinja. The plant has an annual capacity of 2,500 vehicles. So far, 41 buses have been produced, out of which 29 are electric. The electric buses produced can run up to 500 kilometers when fully charged. The plant has signed a letter of intent to supply more than 3,700 electric buses to West Africa. The plant has signed a letter of intent to supply more than 3,700 electric buses to West Africa. Kira Motors has created 800 jobs and has potential to generate more than 14,000 direct and indirect productive jobs. Invested in vaccine development and commercialization, as well as innovation in therapeutics, diagnostics, and other healthcare tools. Government has cumulatively invested total of $274 billion in the thereby former manufacturing facility located at Matuga in Wakiso district. The facility is now licensed by the National Drug Authority and has started manufacturing generic drugs such as tablets, capsules, powders, non-antibiotic drugs, and antifungal drugs, among others. Madam Speaker, government is making progress in development of vaccines for the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and Rift Valley virus. We also completed accreditation of the Alphasan vaccine manufacturing facility to produce anti-tick vaccines. Scientists at McKinley University developed a PCR kit which has been used to conduct more than 2 million tests at 50% of the cost of imported alternatives, saving the country $7 37 million. Guru University developed highly effective rapid testing kits for crop diseases for cassava and sweet potatoes. Madam Speaker, government has invested in a coffee factory in Intungam to fast-track local value addition to coffee. The factory will have 3 processing lines for roastery, freeze, dry, and spray dry technology to produce instant roast and ground coffee, respectively. The roastery line has started production and other processing lines are at 50% installation. The banana value addition facility in Bushenyi has started production. Oh, Katonda yebazibwe. The plant is producing several value-added products like banana flour used in bread, cakes, biscuits, and baby food. The plant is increasing automation and capacity to 140 metric tons from 14 metric tons. It has started penetrating the local and international markets with orders from South Korea, the Middle East, South Africa, Italy, and USA. Madam Speaker, with regard to ICT, government has continued to expand internet connectivity and digital infrastructure across the country. The geographical coverage of broadband internet connectivity stands at 72% of the country, covering 4,387 kilometers. Government has increased the digitization of service delivery to improve efficiency, promote transparency, and reduce bureaucracy. Madam Speaker, a total of 36 electronic services have been developed and rolled out. Some of these include online business registration system, electronic government procurement, and the online passport, visa, national ID, and driving license application system. The Uganda driver licensing system, which was introduced in 2021, has reduced the turnaround time for processing driving licenses to 45 minutes in Kampala and 48 hours in upcountry stations from a period of 1 month. To support business process sourcing, government has licensed over 50 companies that have created over 10,000 jobs, mainly for the youth that provide online services internationally. Madam Speaker, with regard to the creative arts, government provided 10 billion to the creative arts industry. This was to support the artists to recover from the effects of COVID-19 and create a revolving fund to support younger talents to create wealth and jobs. Madam Speaker, I have provided shillings 835.98 billion for science, technology, and innovation, including ICT and the creative arts industry. Of this amount, 388.23 billion is for STI, shillings 381.75 billion is for ICT and digitalization, and shillings 66 billion for the creative arts. Madam Speaker, these funds will be utilized for 1, establishing a high-tech city to support development of technologies and innovations. 2, taking STI products to the market, especially killer motor vehicles